Good morning, everybody. At the onset, I'd like to offer my sincere thanks to Dr. Sudipta ma'am for including me in this forum. My topic, water clinical trials and its protocol. The clinical trials are the research investigations in which the people volunteer to test new treatment or intervention as a means to prevent, detect, treat or manage various diseases or medical condition. Some investigations look at how people respond to a new intervention and what side effect might occur. There are diseases of two types. One is observational or the non-experimental, and second one is the experimental. In the observation group is case report, case series, cross-sectional, case control and cohort studies, whereas in experimental group is randomized clinical trial called RCT. Here in the observation group, it observes both the exposure and the outcome, whereas in the experimental group, it is struck. बंद हो गया ना ये रीस्टार्ट दिखा रहा है ना very sorry for the technical heckle. So in the randomized clinical trial we have assigned the exposure and we observe the outcome. Now advantages of clinical trial, it often provides the strongest evidence in support of the cause-effect relationship, and it's a basis for the clinical and public health policy, minimize and eliminate bias and confounding. There are different elements, core element of the clinical trial. They include the research question, hypothesis, core design, study participants, recruitment, allocation, masking, treatment group, data, analytical issues, and interpretation of the result. Now first the research question is critical in the design of a trial. Type of question for assessing the efficacy of an intervention and effectiveness of an intervention. Now in the hypothesis, there are two types. One is comparative trial called superiority trial to demonstrate a new therapy is superior to the standard therapy in terms of the incident outcome, or the equivalence or the non-inferiority trial to demonstrate that a new therapy is no worse than the standard therapy in terms of the incident outcome. Basic type of designs are two. One is parallel and second is crossover. The study participants, this is the target population. Now this is the accessible population, for example diabetic group. Then these are the study sample in the yellow, volunteers who have responded. Ideal accessible population are of the high risk for the disease. They should be the candidates for the treatment and representative of the target population. Enrollment criteria, there are two types, inclusion and the exclusion. Inclusion criteria, the characteristics of the accessible population, whereas in exclusion criteria, consideration related to the adherence to the therapy, follow-up, safety and ethics. Different strategies of recruitment includes general mailing, target mailing, mass media, screening, physician referral, medical record review, internet, etc., etc. It begins with the design. The response rate is always lower than the expected. Required resources are more than the expected. Dedicated personnels are necessary. The recruitment period is often longer than the expected. Implement several strategies to identify the best source. Prepare backup strategies and monitor the recruitment. Should be early, often and locally. Suppose we give an example of the recruitment funnel. How does it goes? Suppose we have invited around 4,774 mailed invitation. Out of this, 43% only responded, and after the initial mailing, 38% of this group, again they have responded, and out of that one, 323 randomized after second mailing, And ultimately 297 persons were included in the study. So ultimately 7% cumulative comes in the recruitment. In the allocation group, there are two types. One is a random and non-random. It may be stratified and blocked, and non-random may be haphazard or systematic. What is masking or blinding? It's a procedure in which one or more parties in the trial are kept unaware of which treatment arms participants have been assigned. Like in the single blind study, the participant doesn't know. In the double blind, the participant and the clinician observer doesn't know. In the triple blind, even the data analyzer doesn't know the treatment arms. In the treatment groups, there are two types. One is the active treatment group and the comparison group. Many candidates' treatment dose intensity are uncertain, whereas in the comparison group, there were placebo, active control group, and usual care by the physician. And in the active control, there is variation in the standard care, and efficacy is not tested in the usual care by the physician. Next is the data. Baseline data determines the eligibility, describe the study participant, define the subgroups, and address confounding. Secondly, there are measures of adherence, and outcome variable may be principal outcome or secondary outcome. In the analytical issues, there may be sample size, analytical approach, and intention to treat. And the analytical approach may be crude analysis or regression analysis. It depends on the outcome data. Continuous outcome variable, the t-test, when dichotomous or categorical data in the chi-square or logistic regression or Cox modeling, this comes under crude analysis. Whereas in regression analysis, the continuous outcome comes out to be linear regression, time to event like Cox proportional hazard, or dichotomous outcome like logistic regression. Interpretation of the results, there are two types, internal validity and external validity. Internal validity, conclusions correctly describe what happens in the study, whereas in external validity, the degree to which the conclusion apply to the study population and other population. The clinical trial protocol. The trial protocol is a formal document that specifies how a clinical trial is to be conducted. The protocol serves as a scientific, administrative, and organizational project guideline that may be the basis of a contractual relationship between an investigator and a trial sponsor. It should have an objective, a statistical consideration, administrative structure of the trial, design, and the methodology. The protocol should clearly address the issues related to the study's conduct, setup, organization, monitoring, administrative responsibility, publication policies, timeline in the appropriate sector. Well-designed protocols are important for conducting clinical trials safely and in a cost-effective manner. The summary is approved protocol goes to the investigator selection, approval process, patient recruitment and participation, data entered and reviewed, statistical analysis, presentation and publication of the report, data file, and the registration obtained. And thank you so much for the patient hearing. The subject is so vast, we tried to make it little short as far as possible. Thank you so much.